What is going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadski and I'm back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video, and today I'm bringing you guys a brand new how to beat video against Aokiji, which is the brand new raid boss that was just announced on the global version of One Piece Treasure Cruise. So this is absolutely crazy. We are getting so much new content for One Piece Treasure Cruise lately, and it's just been crazy. And now that they've topped Aokiji on top of us as well. So he is by far one of the most difficult dungeons to beat, and he's actually such an insane unit. So I would definitely recommend trying to max this guy. He's just phenomenal. So anyways guys, if you guys do go on to enjoy today's video, make sure to smack the like button down below, as these videos always do take a very long time to create. But without further ado guys, let's get straight into the video. So as we like to do, let's go ahead and break down the actual unit himself, Aokiji the Freezing Man. So Aokiji, being a 5-star unit, evolving from a 4-star unit at level 70, is an Int Striker type unit, and he has 50 cost, and he has 3 socket spots. So you don't see too many good raid bosses that have 3 socket spots, so this guy having 3 is really crazy. So at level 99, which is his max level as a 5-star unit, he has 2,465 health, 1,435 attack, and 251 recovery. Just being in the 1400s of your attack stat is just crazy. Like, that is top tier attack stat range. And his Captain effect will boost the attack and HP of strikers by 2 times, which is nice. We don't have a times 2 HP and attack lead for strikers yet, but Aokiji will fix this problem. And his special ability, which starts at 33 turns and max at 18 turns, will boost the attack of strikers by 1.75 for 2 turns. And then he locks orbs for 2 turns. That is just crazy. That is really good. 1.75 for 2 turns for strikers is nuts. It's absolutely nuts. And, you know, there's such good leads. You got, like, Kid, you got Kaku as well for orb boosting. So strikers are getting a very nice buff with the release of Aokiji. So now that we've broken down the actual unit of Aokiji, let's go ahead and break down the dungeon. So the first 2 stages here of the Aokiji dungeon, we just have some generic pirates and some penguins. You know, on stage 2, you got a lobster and you have a turtle, so those are really great sources of stall power. But overall, not really much to say. They just do damage. There's no special effects that happen in either of these 2 stages, so you definitely just want to take out the marines as quickly as possible, and then you can stall on either the lobster or the turtle if need be. Now, once you reach stage 3, this is a very important stage within this dungeon. So, when you reach the stage, one of the marines will actually silence your captain, only your captain, not your friend captain, for 1 turn. So this is where sockets come into play a little bit. So recently we've had the release of the Garp raid boss once again, we've had the Mr. 2 Fortnite, and we've had the Davy Jones Fight Back Fortnite as well. These Fortnites and these dungeons, the Fortnite dungeon and the raid boss dungeon in Garp, have basically allowed us to socket Garp, Usopp, and Mr. 2. Now, these guys are all very good in beating Aokiji because they're very powerful Psy units that are used in a Psy burst team. So, if you guys were lucky enough to max these guys out, they are perfect in this dungeon. Being able to just reduce the captain, the captain silence that happens in this stage is very crucial, because if you don't kill these guys, they're going to be dealing a lot of damage too. As you see in the last paragraph there, I said that the little marine at the front deals nearly 4,000 damage, and the big marines deal 6,114 damage if they do get a chance to attack. So obviously, you don't want to be taking that damage. So definitely by having the socket to enable you to basically get rid of that captain silence is very crucial in doing well in the dungeon. And then moving on to the second last stage, the stage prior to Aokiji, we have the generic stage that we have in pretty much every raid boss, where we have an Elder Seahorse and we have Marines. And the Marines here have 5 HP, and they will lock a unit that they are weak to on your team, or all the units with the same attribute that they are weak to on your team for 2 turns if they do get a chance to attack. Now, this is your primary source of stalling on this stage, is where you take down all the units except for that Marine that will lock a unit on your team, because once they do that, they'll go to a 2-turn cooldown, and then you can go ahead and then basically get an extra couple of turns of stall just by allowing them to lock you. Now, the Seahorse here has 6 HP, and obviously you want to be using a unit that has a 6 combo to take this guy down reasonably easily, because if you don't take down the Seahorse, you're going to get locked for 6 turns, which obviously, before reaching Aokiji, you don't want to be locked for 6 turns, so definitely watch out for that. Take down the Seahorse, and take down 4 of the 5 Marines to enable enough stalling once you reach Aokiji. So now once you've beat stage 4, you've reached the final boss, which is Aokiji. So Aokiji here, he has 4.03 million health. That is just an approximate data collection that a lot of people have gathered. So the approximate health for Aokiji is 4.03 million health. That's nuts. That is the most, I think that's the most health that any raid boss has had thus far, I think, which is absolutely crazy. You know, 4 million health? It's just crazy. However, there are ways to get around that, which we'll go through later on in the video. So, his attack power is 9,216 with an interval of 3 turns. So, he'll be attacking for that amount of damage every 3 turns. Now, his preemptive attack will basically just give himself a debuff protector for 999 turns, which means that units that do turn delay or lower defense or anything like that, they become useless on this stage. They are basically useless. They cannot do anything. Their specials cannot be activated. Well, I mean, some of them can if they have an added effect that will boost yourself, but anything that will boost the opponent or will reduce to some certain extent on the opponent's side will basically not work. That effect will not work. So he preemptively puts up that debuff protector for 999 turns. Then, on the first turn, he will lock a random unit on the bottom 4 of your units for 2 turns. So it basically means that it will lock any unit on your team, aside from your captains, for 2 turns. Now, obviously, if you have sockets again, level 1 will unlock your chains for 1 turn, and if you have level 2 chain sockets, then you'll basically be completely immune to this effect. You basically, when he goes for the effect to lock a random unit on your team for 2 turns, it basically won't work. So that is basically like one of the best situations you can have, is to have level 2 chains on your team to enable the most damage output as quick as possible against Aokiji. So on the second turn, he actually doesn't do anything, and then on the third turn, he uses his special which will deal 80% of your current health. Now this can be problematic for certain teams, namely Marco and Strongworld Shanks, because if you guys don't know, those guys utilize having a lot of HP to deal as much damage as they can. So obviously by getting 80% of the current HP lost, means they're not going to be doing as much damage as they can, means that they won't be able to burst down Aokiji, which means that they're going to lose. So they really want to try and burst Aokiji down prior to receiving that 80% cut from Aokiji. Now, these turns will keep cycling through turns 1 to 3 until he reaches under 50% health, where he berserks himself, where that basically means he'll start attacking you every single turn. He then gives himself an attack buff, which means he's going to be upping his attack a little bit, so he'll be doing over 10,000 damage to you every single turn, and then he'll also lock a random unit on your team, other than your captains, for 2 turns every 3 turns. So he's going to continuously keep locking you every 3 turns for 2 turns. So that is going to be very, very annoying. Plus, with that attack buff, means you're going to be dealing a lot of damage to you. So you have to try and take him down very, very quickly once he reaches below 50% health. So once Aokiji reaches below 20% health, he'll start spamming his special which deals 100,000 damage, and then will lock any unit, including your captains, for 13 turns. So once he gets to this stage, you will inevitably die. There's no coming back from this. So ideally, you want to try and burst him down when he's above 50%, and before he does the 80% health cut. That is the most ideal situation. You want to try and burst him down. So meaningly that you get like 2 turns to get the right orbs that you want, or if you have specific units that already do that, that's fine then. And so basically you have to try and burst 2 million damage down. 2 million, because if you want to try and burst him above 50%, he's going to have about 2 million health left. So this is going to be a very tricky raid boss to try and take down. Very, very difficult, and you know, he's definitely one of the hardest raid bosses to take down. So if you can't take him down, don't worry, he's very, very difficult, only really for people that have a lot of units and have max specials, sockets, etc. So if you guys don't have that, don't worry, you know, there is a lower stage. I think there's a 40 stamina, I'm not too sure if there's a 30 stamina, but yeah, he is a very, very difficult raid boss to try and take down. However, it is well worth it. His special is amazing, he's got a great captain effect, definitely worth trying to max him. So now let's move on to what teams you should use against Aokiji. So the first team, or actually the first 2 teams here, are both Strongword Shanks related. However, the first team will go through that first. It utilizes a Psy Burst mechanic, a Psy Burst core, with Doflamingo instead of Kobe. Now the reason why is because Doflamingo gives you 2 times orb effectiveness, whereas Kobe gives you 1.5. So Doflamingo gives you so much more damage output, and obviously with this team, you're going to be having a full team of Psy Orbs, so this is definitely the way to go if you want to try and burst him down from about 70 to 75%. This does so much damage. It's ridiculous how much damage this team does. But within the first turn, you want to deal as much damage as you can. If you are locked, because he will lock you, remember. So you want to try and get unlocked, and then that's when you want to try and burst him down. So having at least level 1 chains is required for this team to actually burst down Aokiji. And then for the second team here, we have another Shanks team. However, we're taking out a couple of units. We're taking out Mr. 2 and Garp for Marco, and we're also taking in Alvida. So you use Alvida on stage 3 when you get your Captain Silence. If you don't have that socket, it basically means you're going to lose. So having Alvida to reduce the damage that is incoming on your team is definitely really, really nice. And then you use on stage 5, you have Marco, and you use that once Aokiji actually does that 80% health cut. So once he does that, you want to use Marco's special to basically get full HP recovery, and then your Stronghold Shanks will have their captain effects at their most prime position, and then you can go ahead and try and burst him down for about 50% health. Moving on to another team, we have a Garp team that utilizes Mirage Tempo. So again, with the sockets, you got to have at least level 1 or 2 in chains, and then level 1 Captain Silence definitely is recommended. If you guys don't have it, it will make this dungeon a little bit more difficult. However, if you do have it, then you're in a very, very prime position. So you don't want to activate the burst effects, so you don't want to be using Impact Usopp and Kobe and stuff like that until Aokiji is at 50% health. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to do enough damage to him, and then you're going to lose. So you use one of these Garp specials here. You got to make sure that they're all at max special. So you want to use Garp special, one of them for recovery orbs to get some health recovery, and then you can use the other one for orbs, basically. And you want to make sure you have at least 4 Psy orbs, you know, at least have 4 of your 5 Psy units on your team to have a matching orb. And then if need be, you have Marco there for some health recovery if you are taking a little bit too much damage from Aokiji, which is really, really nice. So this team is actually pretty solid. And it works really well. You've got Mirage Tempo to reduce any damage that you would receive. So ideally what you would do is that you would go ahead, you'd get at 50% health on Aokiji, you try and burst him down really quickly, but at the start of the turn as well, you activate Mirage Tempo. So if you don't kill him, he'll actually go ahead and negate all of that int damage that you would take from his special. So this is a really, really good way in taking him down. You're going to get one of your units locked for 13 turns, but you know, if he's at 50% health and you burst him down, he should be at that range where you should be able to kill him. So definitely, this is a really, really nice team. Really solid team for taking down Aokiji. And the last team I'm showing here is a Whitebeard team. Now, Whitebeard, obviously, he can clear just about everything. So we have Whitebeard here. Again, we have the chain and the silent socket spots. And, yeah, so Whitebeard, and you have Mihawk, because double Whitebeard and Mihawk on the Aokiji stage is just absolutely broken. Getting Aokiji down to like 34% health at the start of the first turn of reaching Aokiji, getting him under, you know, 30% health or whatever it is, 34% health, is just crazy. And then you have Garp for some extra damage, as well as some orbs if you need to get some Psy-Orbs for extra damage. You also have Golden Pound Usopp for stall on stage 3. That is the stage where the Captain Silence is put on your team. This just gives you a lot of stall, because obviously stalling 17 turns for Mihawk and Whitebeard is very, very difficult. So getting Golden Pound to basically give you, 3 turns of extra stall is really, really nice, and probably recommended with a Whitebeard team. And then you have Doflamingo just to switch some orbs around, get some nice orb boost to try and burst down Aokiji when he's about 34% health once you use the double Whitebeard and Mihawk specials. So that concludes yet another how to beat video. Hope you guys did enjoy today's video, and if you guys have enjoyed it, make sure to smack the like button down below. And if you want to stay up to date with all the content that I post on my channel, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, then make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But other than that, guys, I will see you guys within the next video.